about the topic that has brought us here today, which is the gradual rollout of EUDAMED. Previously, the way that the regulations were written, EUDAMED needed to be fully functional before it could be made available. There's a lot of debate about what fully functional meant, but we finally generally came to the consensus that it meant that all the modules needed to be available. As I mentioned before, particularly the clinical investigation module was trailing in development. So what this new amendment, among other things, has done is it has allowed the European Commission to roll out EUDAMED essentially module by module. As a module becomes available and is audited and a notice in the official journal is published, that module can become mandatorily required to be used or become available, and the requirements around its use also come into play. Lena, would you like to add anything to that?
Well, we come later on the specific deadlines to comment on that.
Okay, great.
So
someone went to the next slide on me. Okay. So what has changed then specifically in the regulation is you'll see that changes have been made in the way that the various articles associated with the implementation of EUDAMED have come into play. Some of the changed text was in the previous slide, but you can see here that these transitional periods associated with EUDAMED are now going to come into play. There was in the original regulations, which envisioned that EUDAMED would be available before the date of application. Those dates have long passed, but that was the original way in which EUDAMED was envisioned. And there was originally then this notion that there would be an additional amount of time provided if EUDAMED wasn't available by the date of application. That clearly hasn't happened. So in the original text, there was this additional 6 months that after the publication of the notice of availability, that's when mandatory use would become. That concept has stayed here. So we'll see that as we look at the specific timelines, that it's 6 months after the publication of the official notice in the journal of the European Union, that's when the mandatory use will begin.